Please could you tell us about your party's approach to helping those with disability, including learning disability and neurodivergence in the area?
So, sorry, can I just clarify? The question was, what will our party do to help those communities? Yes, thank you. I think there are a whole host of things actually. So although we don't have control over health, it's very clear that the council has a responsibility both to scrutinise and to challenge their partners, especially health. And I don't think that's happening very effectively at the moment. So we need to be making sure that health is accessible and that there's less discrimination in the health services, and that we have suitably trained people to support this community. I think from the Local Green Manifesto perspective, we want to fix the broken SEND support system and reduce the delays in EHCPs. We want to protect early help, which is a key foundation for us. Early help is the key to preventing crises and for people to get into the point where they need far greater help than would otherwise have been necessary had we had the support in the first place. We want to make sure that carers also get the support that they need. Our carers are key to stopping us from actually spending huge sums of money on care, which is not the ideal. We want carers to be able to live their lives and to be able to work if they want to, which often they can't. And I think also the other aspect for us is co-production. So we talk a lot about co-production, however, it's not really working and it's not really including people in the way that it should. So co-production should include this community in all decisions that are made through council, so that you're represented right through those decisions on every department, not just when we're talking about SEND services in particular. And I think that would make a huge difference. We need a proper charter for this community that actually works for this community. We don't have that at the moment. Thank you.
No, it's okay. I think I've got the question. Yeah, like I say, I'm relatively new with local politics, so I don't have, openly admit it, I don't have the experience of the guys on this board here who are all either councillors or have been councillors. The main thing is basically, like I said at the start of it, is it's all very well good to throw a load of money at something and just say, here's a ton of money. It's what the actual money goes to. That's the kind of thing that I would absolutely get stuck into. I've got a real bugbear. I don't want to see money going towards consultancy fees. I don't want to see money going towards advertising, that kind of stuff. Money has to go to the families and the children and the people that actually need it. With regards to the actual issues, it would be a case of, like if I've got a chance here today, they need to tell us what isn't working, and then obviously we obviously react to that. But like I say, I think my main thing is I want to know what this money does go to, because it's obviously not going to the right places. It's obviously, if it's going somewhere, it's a lot of money being spent. But I say, but I'm here today basically to try and learn as well the real issues of what people have, what people are struggling to get the support on. So yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, obviously Kay's talked a lot about Green Party policy locally. One of the things that really struck me from when I was a councillor before is that we all come to it from a very different background, so we've all got different experiences, and not everyone understands the issues that families are going through, either with their children or their young adults or older people. And so for me, it's about raising awareness of other councillors to make sure that they're not just listening to those lovely figures that come from officers and think everything in the garden is rosy, is actually have an open mind and listen to the experiences of others, particularly those families who are experts by experience. So that's what I would really want to bring. And I was able to do that when I was on the council before, and it did mean that quite a few positive changes were made in Southend, and they are still happening, but there are still inconsistent experiences and outcomes for parents, and we can see that right to today, and it needs to stop.
Okay, so what do I say that's any different to any of that? Because I think they're all very good points. Most of us that have been on the council before, and particularly Paul, who is in charge of assets and finance, understand that there is a very set pot of money. Much of it is ring-fenced for what it has to be spent on. So the amount that gets left over with choices is very small. I think it's already been touched on. Adult social services and children's social services take the major part of that share. I used to have to explain to my colleagues why I was spending £500,000 a week on a child. It was because it was our legal duty and we had to do it. We didn't have any choice. And that's very, very hard when you've got, many of you have got children who desperately need services, and we're saying, well, we can't fund them because we haven't got enough money. So I think it's how to be equitable about what is left and get best value for it all. We, Reform, are a new party here. We're new to the table. Some have got more experience than others, but I think that it will be a huge learning curve for any of them that get onto the council, any of us that got onto the council, because it's 20 years since I was in the portfolio. And I think that it's something that we have to listen, as everybody has said, and then work within the parameters of what we have to use. And it is really, going back many, many years, we used to call it best value, and it is. It's getting best value for everybody, but also at the same time trying to plug all those holes that are very definitely there in the system that aren't working. Things, I think somebody mentioned EHCP. I'm not good with acronyms. But that there's massive differences in times for diagnoses, whether they're getting diagnosed at all, the fact that the schools are shifting it away and saying, oh, we can't do that, and then the people are having to go to panels to make complaints, to make sure that it's actually going to happen. If they get a diagnosis, then they're allowed to apply for a PIP, but the PIP is such a difficult form that they need help filling that in. And it's just a minefield out there, isn't it? So I think all those things have got to be put into the pot so that we can see how we can work. Okay, thank you.
You are here to listen to politicians talk about what they want to do. And I think it's fair that I set out what the Liberal Democrats want to do for this community and this need. We talk about creating a national care agency, introduction of free personal care for older and disabled people at home, increased carers allowance and expanded eligibility of that allowance, introduction of statutory guarantees of regular respite breaks for unpaid carers, the introduction of paid carers leave for employees building on the entitlement of unpaid leave, which and this current government is working on. It's a shame we don't have anybody here from the current government party because they have made some changes, but that was something the Liberal Democrats certainly wanted to do. Making caring a protected characteristic under the Equality Act, most important. If it wasn't for the carers, and I've talked with personal experience here, the system would absolutely collapse tomorrow. It would just not exist. And we need to recognise that. And I think it's one of those situations that I think that people want to care for others. I think we don't want to anyway prevent that, but we need to recognise it in a better way. I plan to improve disabled access across the rail network, and also, this is somewhere the council can step in. I don't know if anybody else has got a bus pass here in the room. That's fine. But if you've got one with an orange stripe, and it's issued by Southend Council, as of the 1st of April, with our influence at the administration, you can now travel for free, Monday to Friday, from 6 a.m, for appointments, for work, for any reason. So if you've got a Southend issue pass with an orange stripe on, disabled accessory pass. That is something we do positively. We look around and think, what can we do to help people? We think qualified mental health professional in every primary secondary school. We need to look after the flow of the children through the process, getting the personal experience of how children, and every child, it's an obvious thing to say, I'm going to say it, every child is different, and everyone has different needs, and the parents are the ones to be listened to when it comes to the child. When Ross was born, they didn't want to put him into mainstream schooling. but they did. We fought against that, and we got him into a good primary school, and it was the best. Well, I'll start to rock. So that's my time. So, Chair, I'll hand back to you.